So I've been having some people ask me, where do I begin? What do I look for if I want to get into this coin thing? And I'll tell you what I do and some suggestions. Uh, you can go as deep as you want to get, and it takes years to learn everything. But I'll give you the basics of what to look for. I personally mainly look for silver and copper. Here's the silver that I found this year, and I've got other years put away. Half dollars, nickels. That's what I look for the most in silver. I have a few dimes here and there. And copper pennies. And we'll talk about why I look for these. It's all about value. And possibly, if you're wanting to collect a little bit, a couple of books to get. There's some boxes of half dollars I've been through. And I'll start just showing you some things. I'll start with silver here. And we'll talk about quite a few different things. Let's start with silver. This is where I started my journey here the last several years. When I was a kid, I liked collecting coins, and it wasn't just silver. It was older coins, neat coins. We'll talk a little bit about that, but let's start with the silver. What you're looking for. 1964 and older dimes, quarters, and half dollars are 90% silver. Half dollars from 1965 to 1970 are 40% silver, and nickels from 1942 to 1945 are 35% silver, but you're only looking for the coins with the big letter over the dome. 43, 44, and 45, all of those are silver, but in 1942, only about half of them are silver. So look on the back if you get a 1942, and if you got the big letter there over the dome, like you see here, it's going to be a P, D, or S, then it's silver. All of the silver coins have the big letter over the dome that you see here. And then if you happen to get a hold of some silver dollars, all the silver dollars from 1935 or older are 90% silver. Now, they have been specialty collector coins along the way in all of these, and commemorative coins that are silver, but we're not going to cover all of that today. That'll be later on in your journey. We're talking about the coins that were circulated. They made the great big Ike dollars, the really big ones, really the same size as the other silver dollars from 1935 and older. But they're not silver, they're just clad coins. But the ones they made in San Francisco, which didn't get circulated, are silver. They have silver in them. You may find one occasionally, but I never have. I've got hundreds of Ike dollars, and I've never found a silver one. But sometimes you get lucky, and they are kind of a collector item, and so I get, when I can find them, I get them and I save them. So that's what you're looking for in the silver. In my experience, you don't find very many in the dimes and quarters. You'll find them every now and then. The people that I talk to generally say you find less than one per box. The half dollars is the place to look, mainly because the 1965 to 1970 are 40% silver. That's what you're going to find the most of. But you will find 1964 and older. 1964 is Kennedy, just for that. Kennedy, from 1964 to now, the half dollars are Kennedy. Before 1964, they were Benjamin Franklin for several years, and before that was the Walking Liberty half dollar. But all of those, all those are 90% silver. So there's what you're looking for. Oh, okay, let's back up a little bit. The half dollars. When you do find silver half dollar, it's going to have a pretty good value because there's more silver in it than is in a dime, obviously. So their value is really good, and you find them. I did just go through 3 boxes. I didn't find any, but last week I went through some and found a handful. Okay, the nickels. I average a silver coin for every box of nickels. So if you go to the bank and get a box of nickels, it's $100, and I average one per box, and it's fun. I love finding them. They're called wartime nickels because they were made during World War II, and they look different. The color of them are different than all the other nickels. They're really cool, I think. That's it for the silver. Let's move on to some copper. Now here's something I wanted to show you. This is a stack of $half that has no silver in it. They all have that copper, made with copper. Let me show you. When you open up a roll and you see that, that's what you want to look for right there. That's what gets us excited in the silver hunting right there. This happens to be a 1964 90% silver. So fun to find the 90% silvers. Let me show you another. See, there's another one right there. Man, so fun. Oh look, that one's a Benjamin Franklin. That's exciting. And every now and then you even find a Walking Liberty. Let me show you another. Now this one's harder. See that? That's silver, but it's only 40% silver. Those are the ones that are from 1965 to 1970. And it's 40% silver. They've got a different look to it. I know in the very beginning you'll probably look at all the years, but after you've done it for a while, you just look at the sides and you look for the silver. If you're just looking for silver. If you're looking, and let me show you something else. Sometimes you find coins that are almost like brand new. See that? I also collect those that'll look really nice. This one happens to be a 2022. It has just been stuck in circulation. You can almost call that uncirculated, and those are collectible too. Another thing, I also sell these mats, but on my $half mat, it has the years 1987. For some reason, they didn't make very many of them. And then from 2002 to the year 2020, they just didn't make, they still made $half, but they didn't make them for circulation. So in the industry, we call them NIFCs, not intended for circulation, because they only made a few million each of them, which is nothing in the coin industry. And so a lot of people will keep all of those and just keep them as collectibles too, called the NIFCs. But I just wanted you to see what the silver looked like inside a roll, and that's what you're looking for. Okay, the pennies, the copper pennies. Copper pennies are from 1981 and older. All of them are 95% copper. And with the price of copper today, all your copper pennies are worth 2.5 cents or more each. And so when you save a penny that's copper, you've already got profit because it's worth 2.5 times more than the face value. And so the neat thing about the pennies is collecting those is you don't always find silver coins, but whenever you buy a box of pennies for $25, you're going to get a whole bunch of copper that you can start saving. And you might even find some wheat pennies. So I personally hoard for just the copper value the pennies that are 1959 to 1981. Those are all 95% copper. Before 1959, you had the wheat penny. The wheat penny was made from 1909 to 1958. They're also 95% copper, but they have collector value. People will pay more than they will pay for just a regular copper penny. And some of them are harder to find, and they're worth even more. Some of them, a few of them, are considerably more. But I just keep all the wheat pennies that I get as just collectible. I'll put them in a tube or whatever. I'll keep them separate from the regular copper pennies. And before the wheat penny from 1908 and older was the Indian head penny. I've talked to people who have found a few of those while doing their penny searches. I haven't found one yet. I do have a couple of them I've gotten from other sources. But I find a lot of wheat pennies. In fact, personally, when I go to a bank and buy a box of pennies for $25, on average, I get 10 wheat pennies. And so it's just fun to collect them. I showed you, I think, really briefly there at the beginning, the books. If you want to fill up a collector book, I think it's a lot of fun. I've had them for several years. When I was a kid, I filled several of them, and it's a lot of fun. I only do the pennies and the nickels, but here, let me show you those. Okay, here's the Lincoln cent book that starts in 1941. Mine says 74, I think. The new ones may go a little bit farther than that. If I can get it open here. So the new ones probably will go on to 75. I've had this penny book for quite some time. It may not, I don't know, I haven't seen the newer ones. But obviously over here you have wheat pennies, and the wheat pennies stop right here. 59D is the last wheat penny, and then starts the Lincoln Memorial on the back. And all of these are copper, but it's fun to collect, and there's still a few I don't have. The 1943s, they're wartime pennies, and they were made of steel because the military needed the copper for military purposes. So these are steel, a lot harder to find. They're out there. So if you don't find one, you may just want to go to a coin store and buy a couple of those just to put in your book if you want to. But it's a lot of fun, in my opinion. You can even get the one that goes back to 1909 to 1940, and I have way fewer of those that I find them here in my penny searches. I find one every now and then, and it's fun when I find one. I also like the Jefferson nickel books. Let me get that here. I've got a few of them. 1938 to 1961. I keep track of the ones that I need right there. And this includes the silver ones. It'll tell you which ones are silver. And you see here's the 1942s that are not silver, and then the 1942s that are silver. And it goes all the way to 1961. And it's to me, it's a lot of fun. You may or may not want to do that. Besides trying to find coins to go in my nickel books, I buy boxes of nickels at the bank for $100. And I'm really looking for the silver ones. That's my favorite part. Lots of people nowadays are starting to hoard nickels because they're 75% copper and 25% nickel. And so every nickel right now is worth about 6 cents each, something like that. And so there's people that are starting to keep those. I only keep them, the silver ones, obviously, because they're worth a few bucks each for the silver value. But I keep the ones that are from 1959 and older. I've got about 17 pounds of those. And that's just because, to me, they're kind of collectible other than just being hoarding nickel. I'm not quite ready to jump in and save all of them yet. I don't want to tie up that much money in the nickels that are worth 6 cents each. I'd rather look for the pennies that are worth 2.5 cents each, and then also add to my wheat penny collection. That's just my opinion. You do what you want to do. So most of my collecting is searching through half dollars and nickels and pennies. These are all copper right here. I save the half-dollar boxes, and when it gets completely full, it's about 25 pounds, and I'll weigh it out first. Let me pop over here real fast. I have so far 3 of them full. There's 75 pounds of copper right there. And so when I get a box full, I fill it up, tape it up, and seal it up real good, and then start on the next box. That's just the way I do it. A lot of people put them in cans and jars and different things. Just to get an idea, these are the older nickels, 1938, 39, 40. These are not silver. But then you get down here to the silver, they've just got a different look to them. You see that? That is not what your regular nickel colors look like. And this is what your typical silver one looks like. And there's the big letter. This one is an S on top of the dome. All of the silver ones are going to have the big letter. You can't miss them. Now sometimes they're worn pretty bad. Every now and then you get one that's just, see that one, you can just barely tell that it's there. It's really worn on that one. But they're a lot of fun to find. Now some things that people really get into, and there is money in it, but I'll tell you up front, it takes way longer because you have to really inspect each coin, is looking for varieties. Basically, you're looking for errors in the coins. And this is just a small amount of the varieties that are out there in the pennies. There's a few that's in the nickels there. And let's see, I think I've got a few in the half dollars. Yeah, there's a few of the varieties. Double dyes and different things. And people look for coins that, like when they were stamped here, it didn't get stamped all the way. So part of it will have nothing on it, and the rest of it will be off center. All of those things are collectible, and if you happen to see them, by all means, keep it. And if you don't want to collect them, sell it on eBay. I keep my eye out for those, and they're fun to find. But I have a magnifier here. I use the Tom Love, and so sometimes I'll inspect coins, but I don't do it as much as a lot of people do. Some people are really into it, and it takes a lot more research because there's so many different varieties. I mean, thousands and thousands of different varieties in these coins, and it takes a long time to know them all. You'll just start honing on one or two. It's just not my thing. I like looking for the silver and the copper, and then just finding the neat things that come along the way. Sometimes I find some neat foreign coins. Every now and then they're even silver. I'll take the coin that I find, look it up on the internet, and see what I've got. And I have found several foreign silver coins. That's a ton of fun. I find quite a few Canadian, especially in the pennies. And there's just a whole nother ball game on the pennies, because different years, all of the copper pennies in the Canadian for way back were 98% copper, but different years they weighed different. And I made a whole video talking about that. So if you start finding some Canadian pennies, I'll leave a link below this video that tells you kind of how you might want to separate those out. They're kind of fun too. I like them. I love finding the Canadian pennies. Their copper ones went up to 1996, so you've a lot more of them that you find are copper. That's kind of cool. And I keep them separated in different ways because of the weights of them, and I'll tell you that in that video if you care to see that. Let's talk a little bit about banks. I would suggest getting 2 different bank accounts, and hopefully some with multiple branches. I don't like to take coins back to the same bank that I buy them from, and almost everybody that you talk to in the industry say that. They have a kind of a crude saying for it, but I'll go ahead and tell you what it is. It's you don't want to poop where you eat, and so you don't want to take the stuff back where you buy it from. Most of the tellers that I buy from thank me for not bringing them back to them, because they're already going out of their way getting them for me. When I show up, they have to go into the vault. I know it's just their job, but still, you can have a good relationship or bad relationship. And I have very good relationships with the tellers at the banks that I order from. They say, "Hey, how you doing?" And they'll just go ahead and hop up and start, if they're not busy, and go ahead and go get my coins and start getting them ready for me. And some of them will tell me, like, they've got some old bills or something that they've put aside for me, and that's really cool. I just picked up 2 1950 $10 bills a couple days ago, and that was really neat. But you want to order from one, take to another. I like to make sure that I have a bank that I go to that takes loose coins, so you can either they have the machine behind the counter or out front when you run it yourself. The $half, I re-roll them, and so there's certain banks that wants them re-rolled, but there's certain banks that only take loose coins, and so I have banks for both. I don't do quarters very often, but when I do, I re-roll them just because my fingers can handle them easily, and the $half are pretty easy. But the pennies and nickels and the occasional dimes, I don't re-roll those. I just put them in a bank bag and take them up to and put them in the coin machine. And I find that to be definitely the best way to do it. When you're ordering, talk to the banks, see if they'll let you order, make sure they don't charge a fee. I think there's a big bank called PNC that charges fees. There's plenty of banks that don't. One of the big banks that doesn't charge fees is a Chase. Another one is Wells Fargo. They don't charge. And a lot of the smaller banks don't charge fees either. Some of them don't order coins at all, so obviously you can't get them through them. But the pennies are $25 a box. The nickels are $100 a box. Dimes, if you want to do dimes, are $250 a box. And quarters and $half are $500 a box. You can go in and just say, I want so many rolls. If you want to do $half and you don't have $500, say, what do you have? Let me back up. One thing you want to do anytime you go into the bank is just say you got any $half. They may say, I've got $3 worth. Just buy them and see what you get. I've gotten lots and lots of silver coins just by buying the handful of $half that they had in their drawer. You might want to ask them too if they've got any big dollars. Then usually if they do, it's the Ike dollars. But my brother, he asked them if they had any big dollars, and he got a couple of Morgan and Peace dollars, 90% silver. I mean, you talk about excited. He was one excited fella. But it doesn't hurt to ask. Ask what they've got. And then you can, if they say, how many do you want? If they've got a box full and you don't have $500, then just, say, give me $100 worth or whatever. I would, suggest if it's possible to try to buy them by the box, but maybe you can't at first, but that's okay. the pennies and nickels, the same thing. You know, say, can I get $10 worth? Can I get $5 worth? And then just start with whatever you have available. That's where you want to start. Just real quick about the Canadian silver. All dimes, quarters, half dollars, and dollars from Canada from 1920 to 1967 were 80% silver. And the Canadian dollar from 71 to 91 was 50% silver. And if you find any from before 1920, they were 92.5% silver. And you know, every now and then, if you're going through nickels and maybe even the dimes and quarters, you might find a Canadian that's silver, and it's certainly not impossible. But I just wanted to throw that out there just in case.
I think I've covered most everything that I intended to cover in this video. I hope it hasn't gone too long, and most of all, I hope it has helped. For certain, if I didn't cover something that you are interested in, please ask, and I'll try to answer. I try to answer everybody that responds to me, and good luck out there.